Hello, hello. I'm coming at you with what I hope is going to be hopefully not too long, but I have all 5 palettes for the You Give Me Butterflies collection. These are palettes for eye and face. That's what it says here at the bottom. I have all of these here. The packaging is so pretty. I like how all these palettes have all the information that they have in the back. As you can see here, it gives you all the names here on the back, and then here it has this color-coded "can use around the eyes, not for use around the eyes." A little weird that everything listed on this alleged palette for eye and face, not a single one are you supposed to use for the eyes. Let's see what the case is for this one. For the pink palette, there's only 1 shade you can use around the eyes. For the green palette, there is only 3 shades you can't use around the eyes. That one's a little better. For the yellow palette, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So half the palette you can use around the eyes and half the palette you cannot use around the eyes. And for this last one here, let's see, we got 6 shades you cannot use around the eyes. I always find that a little weird, a little bizarre. You have to call it a face and eye palette, especially when one of these palettes, it looked like you couldn't even use any of the shades around your eyes. It's like, okay, well, what do you think I'm using it for? Especially when you set it up like this. So, I don't know, a little weird, but P.Louise is from the UK, so I know that they have different rules and regulations for their makeup. Regardless, I used all of this makeup on my eyes. I didn't personally have any issues with, as far as I can remember, with like staining or irritation on my eyes, but it's always there for you to choose as the consumer, and it is available for you. I love the color coding. I love the packaging for every one of these. I like how consistent it is. I love how you can tell what the color is inside based off the shades on the outside of the packaging. It's all very cohesive, it all makes sense, and I'm going to do something a little different this time, which is I want to start with my favorite palette, the palette that I think is probably the best kind of bang for your buck. You can see here it has a lot of information. This has a 12-month lifespan, you can recycle, it's cruelty-free. Yeah, I think it's come with a lot of good information, but let's start our little ranking. I want to start with the palette that I think is the best out of the 5. Alright, first we're starting with Sparkle Spells. This is the blue palette, and it pretty much almost looks exactly as it does on the outside is the way that it looks on the inside. It's got that same kind of thing. It says, like, it's textured. It is so pretty. This is definitely like a very extra brand. You're not going to find the same information that you have on the box. On the palette, it's completely different. It just has kind of more like of the name and a warning. It just says palette for eye and face. But let's open this palette up. There are mirrors, there are small mirrors in all of these palettes. Just a long rectangular mirror right there. But this is my number 1 palette. So let me tell you why this is my number 1 palette. I feel like out of the 5 palettes, this one is the most kind of, I guess, interesting, the most diverse. Some people may not think so, I understand that, but this palette is just so pretty. It reminds me of the like Britney Spears era of like just these light, this shade, this light kind of almost hollow with gold shimmer kind of blue. This is, I had this eyeshadow when I was like 10. A shade so similar to this. It was in a little pot. And I put it all over my eye, and my mom sat me back. She's like, "Girl, you are not leaving the house looking like that." But I really like it because we have these light blues. We have this purple over here. We have a black with blue sparkle. We have these shades down here, which is, this is more of a periwinkle. And then we have more like a periwinkle with purple. We have a shade that's a little bit more kind of like, I would consider it almost like a violet, a denim, this kind of blue, purple. Same with this. This is kind of this version, but in shimmer form. And I just think it's so unique. My favorite shade in here, of course, was this beautiful, beautiful blue called Fly High. It's so pretty. This has some really, really gorgeous shimmers, but I think the main stars for all of these palettes were definitely the mattes. The mattes in here are really, really good. I think the shimmers were okay. It was doable, but, you know, nothing crazy. I also love how every single one of these pans had these cute butterflies in them. So pretty, so flippin' cute. Unfortunately, as you can see, I had to rub them away as I used the product, but it is so, so pretty. I loved it. And also every one of these palettes have these kind of interesting shades where it's kind of marbled. That's also really pretty. I'm going to swatch this one as well so you can see. It is a kind of duochrome these marbled ones are. So it shifts from purple to this kind of lighter purple. And it's something nice to just kind of throw in there in this palette. I also really loved, well, as it says right there, Periwinkle. It's Periwinkle that we have right here. These shades right here, I kind of interpret them on my skin tone a little bit more of it as an indigo, something that's not too blue, something that's not too purple. It's kind of in between, it's both. But I did really love this Periwinkle. It's so pretty, along with Lavender Storm. This is a blue palette, but I love this range because with this blue palette, it's almost like you can create a kind of purple look as well. There's enough shades in here to really have a lot of range. It's not just light blues and the usual suspect of like a dark navy blue. It's very fun, it's very interesting, so that's why this is my number one. I know blues isn't something that a lot of us will usually reach for and dip into, but a small palette like this, it's fun and nice to have. Spoiler, I'm gonna keep all of these palettes for now. I think there are a few that eventually down the line I might get rid of, but I'm gonna hold on to this for a little bit longer. We have Moonlight Meadow, the Moonlight Meadow P.Louise, You Give Me Butterflies palette. This one's the one that's next, and it's the same exact thing for every single one. It has the name up top, which makes it really easy and cool when you are putting this away and organizing it. It has the name right there on the top. That's pretty cool, and have that information there. So we're gonna open up this one, and same thing. I don't know why these colors, I guess just because of the late 90s, early 2000s, I associate so many of these colors with the pop star era, and especially Britney Spears. Just like, I look at this and I'm like, this reminds me of that, like, what was it, that butterfly perfume, like, is it the Fantasy perfume? I feel as well like Mariah Carey had like also a purple perfume with butterflies on it. I'm not exactly sure, but here is a closer up that you can see here, and it's the same kind of vibe. Yes, this is a purple palette, but you also have so much range, so many more looks than just a purple palette. So it's like a purple palette but still keeping on theme. I do find that the blacks for P.Louise were a little bit patchy, a little too intense at times, but workable, not the worst, not the best. But same kind of thing. You have, let's see, just right here, 5 different kind of in tone with purple. This light purple is not like this light purple. This deeper purple is not like this deeper purple. We have a berry tone here, and same thing. We have this beautiful purple gold shift kind of color. We have another shade that's like marbled that is so pretty. I really, really liked this one as well. Let's run some swatches. Let's maybe do Magic Meadow. And then maybe we'll do Fairy Fantasy. Ooh, girl, Fairy Fantasy. Very pretty. Then let's do this one right here. And then I think we'll do, let's do this berry shade is Eyeing Me. We got those swatches on. Look at that. Really, really pretty. So this looks like, this already altogether already looks like such a good color story with the blue. And like I said, you can see here, it's not the most intense, greatest kind of shimmer. But over here, this darker one is a lot better. This one almost is more of a topper because it's so light. But it's my second favorite because I do like the range that we have in here. I like the range of looks you can create with this. This isn't just a purple palette. It has a lot more range and it has depth, especially with the black and these 2, well really 3 darker shades in this palette. Number 3, we have now the Buttercup Blossom. Buttercup Blossom is my number 3, and to be honest, I kind of cheated on this one. I almost put it more towards the bottom, but I ended up putting it more towards the middle. The reason this is more towards the middle, this is my number 3. As you can tell, this is pretty much a fully yellow palette. It's very much a palette that would be part of my quest for yellow. Okay, are these good yellows? I think they're pretty decent. It's a decent yellow palette. I had my eye. In fact, I think I got this collection mostly for this palette because I love yellows. Yellows are my favorite color. But the thing with this palette is by itself, is it a good palette? I don't think so. And I think you'll see with the other next 2, they're maybe not the best either. But this is a fully yellow palette. It's very rare to see a yellow palette, so for that I'll give it its kudos. I think the shimmers in here are absolutely beautiful as well. I love the range of shimmers. We have a light yellow peep shimmer, a bright lemon shimmer. We have like a cooler gold, a yellow gold, and like a more true gold. But these 3 shades on the bottom here ended up all kind of looking the same on my eyelids. So that wasn't my favorite. There was a slight difference with Full Bloom and Daisy, but not too much. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is definitely a secondary palette. I ended up pulling out my, I believe, my Jeffree Star palette for some browns. And once I did that, the look was beautiful. And I did enjoy it. I loved it. And I think it's so pretty. I think that instead of maybe honey and got to glow, we could have used at least 2 browns to help kind of deepen the looks and create something different. But other than that, I don't have any other things I could say. Let's try, let's do the mattes in here. That's one. Let's do maybe this one. You can definitely tell the difference there. And then I love lemon. So you can see there some beautiful colors. You can see it's a little bit chipped right there. So like they're okay. I think everything in here was okay. It's doable, but I think they definitely could keep working on this formula a little bit more. But let's swatch that. So we got this light right here. This next one. This next one right here. Those almost look very similar. And we got a gold. So they're okay. They're definitely suffering from, you know, some browns. They need some browns. I think that's ultimately what it needs. But this one's okay. I think once you get that help, the palette ends up being a lot more usable and pretty. So for that reason, I put this as my number 3. In 4th place, we have Totally Toadstool. This is the pink version of this palette. I do quite like this palette. I thought this palette was very fun. The reason I've placed it in 4th is because I don't really reach for pinks very often. So just color preference. But also, it is a bit different in the sense that these are very intense pinks. You're not seeing any light baby pinks as much as you think that should be in here. So I do like that. I like the setup of the 4 shimmers on the side. I think that's really cool. I think all 4 shimmers in here are incredibly different to one another. I like the addition of kind of like, not just pink, but the addition of kind of like these oranges. It gives a very sunset feel. I think that's really pretty. So don't get it twisted. It's not 4th because it's really that bad. It's just kind of color preference, and you know, it did what I expected it to do. There's not too much range, although there is some range with the oranges, so I do like that. So for this one, I think I'm going to swatch the shimmers in here, just because I think that's so much more interesting. Again, another beautiful marbled shade that we have there, if you can see that. So, and it gives us, all the shades in here are like different to each other, and I really love that, and I really appreciate that. So with these palettes, you're not just getting like the same palette, but with the attached color. The other palettes, you'll see that this corner tends to be a little bit lighter, but you're not getting that kind of 90s nostalgia like pink in this one. You're getting something different, a little bit more intense. It's not exactly what you expect when you open it and see light pink packaging. Every one of these shimmers is so different, and there's a look for each one. So maybe we'll do the side. So there we have our pinks right there. You'll see that shift. So they're very pretty. I love how shiny it is. Got some nice shimmers on that one, some nice color. If you can't tell, I'm pretty sure these will stain your eyes, but I didn't have any issues with staining. If anything, maybe this isn't very long lasting. I think after 5 or 6 hours, you may find that it ends up starting to crease at that point, but it's, you know, not the end of the world. Right, and lastly we have here Woodland Willow. So if you can tell from the outside, this is a green palette, but it's not the kind of green you would expect. I was really excited to love this palette. This palette is nothing like I've seen before, really. The closest I can think of is like the Mint to Be by ColourPop, but this is my last place palette, and it's mostly because I find that there really isn't too much range in here. Like, this is really pretty, okay, and I completely understand my bias because when I had my yellow palette, I pulled out some browns for that palette. I did not pull out any browns for this one. I think I probably would need some darker greens, perhaps, because for the yellows, the browns make sense. I don't know if browns would make sense for these very light, minty greens. So for that reason, because it's so light, and I hardly found much distinction of the shades on my eyelids, I put this in last place. But color story wise, I thought this was so beautiful. I was so excited to wear this and get this on my face. But alas, I didn't think to try to pair this with anything. In fact, it was this palette that made me think that I should pair something with the yellow. And that's why I ended up pulling out another palette, which I never do. I try to always use my palettes in the purest forms, in the colors that you have available within those palettes, and I didn't do it for this one. So maybe this is similar to the yellow palette, or if you pulled out another palette, you can create a very pretty cohesive look. Maybe you like having these really pale, Eastery kind of pastel colors on your eyes. I'm not a pastel girl either, so again, I think that might be just color preference, but I was really excited to use these. I think they're so pretty, and like I said, I don't see enough mint in palettes, and mint is one of my favorite colors. I think mint to be kind of knocks it out of the park for me, the ColourPop one instead of this one. I also have that one fixed up. I added some darker shades in here, and I think that maybe that's what this needs, a little bit more of a darker shade, and maybe if we gotten rid of this and added like a darker shade, I think that would have helped a lot more. But let's do a couple of swatches of what we have left. Let's do this worsted one over here. I really want to do the mattes for this one so you can see, because the mattes in here are really pretty. Ooh, okay, and then maybe this one. That reminds me of like the pistachio palette from BH Cosmetics. I think that's what it was called. This is really, really, really pretty. Let's swatch these. That one is crazy. That, let me try and get a little bit more. I have it on my pinky, so it's not really, not a lot of finger to work with there, but look at how pretty. I love me some mint shades. The mattes in here are definitely the strong suit. The shimmers are alright. But like, look at this color story. If you wanted to see these palettes untouched, unused, go check out my huge P.Louise haul. It is the biggest haul I have ever done. It is the most product I have ever bought at one time. Go check that video out if you want to see these palettes with the beautiful butterflies on them. But I think these are all, I mean, ultimately really great. I think that the blue, the purple, and honestly, the pinks are kind of standalones. I feel like you could use those palettes by themselves, but the mint and the yellow definitely need help. These are more complementary palettes. They're going to need a second palette to really help them out. Thank you so much for watching my video today. Which one of these palettes is your favorite palette? Which one of these gives you butterflies? I think they're all so pretty, and I'm really excited and happy to have these in my collection. Y'all have a great day.